Hello, everyone! Today we have great news. Prince Harry's charity, Centabale, is canceling its annual polo match due to growing financial pressure. Details. Prince Harry fell into a trap set by enemies and flew into a rage. Prince Harry falls like a stone when Meghan interrupts his conversation, which makes you want to wince. Meghan's heiress Markle was unsuccessful during an unexpected trip to Paris. Meghan Markle appeared at Paris Fashion Week in a second look. The most interesting things are ahead, and now I suggest we start by saying that Prince Harry's Centabale charity organization is canceling its annual polo match.
Prince Harry's charity Centabale scraps annual polo match after mounting financial pressure. Details. The Duke of Sussex's charity Centabale canceled its annual charity match following the prince's departure from the organization in March. Prince Harry's former charity Centabale has scrapped its annual charity fundraising polo match.
While we are learning the details of the cancellation of the charity match, I remind you that there is great news ahead.
In the past, the Duke of Sussex would enlist his friends on the field, including star player Nacho Figueras, to play and raise funds for the organization he set up in 2006 with Prince Sizo of Lesotho. Now, Centabale, which Harry parted ways with following a bullying and racism dispute in March, is dropping the event, launched in 2010, as it rebrands ahead of its 20th anniversary next year. The HIV/AIDS charity, which supports children and young people in Africa, plans to cut £1 million annually. The charity wants to increase investment by widening its donor base instead of relying on individual high-profile donors. Ian Rowrilson, a member of Centabale's board of trustees, told The Telegraph, "These polo games attract great generosity from high-net-worth individuals or funds who want to support the charity. Those events definitely have their place. We're not being critical about that as a concept. The reason for dropping it is it puts quite a lot of pressure on individuals, and it can mask structural weakness in the financial model of the charity." According to Ian, Prince Harry's generous donations, which included a £1.2 million contribution using proceeds from his memoir, Spare, covered up the fault lines in the financial model, which had been producing losses since 2017. Ian added that there was a very narrow but very loyal donor base for the charity, which masked the very high level of cost, where those costs could only be borne by the virtue of the generosity of Prince Harry. Major changes. The charity match is just one of many changes made in the organization recently. In August, the London staff were made redundant, with the entire office closing following the turbulence. Closing the offices was also cited in the charity's cost-cutting plans. The organization has also introduced a code of conduct for defining trustees' acceptable behavior following the ordeal earlier this year. Why did Harry leave the charity? Harry resigned as a patron of the charity along with his co-founder, Prince Sizo of Lesotho, and several other trustees, blaming the almost dictatorial style of its chairwoman, Sophie Shandauka. In a joint statement released in March, Harry and Prince Sizo said they were resigning from their roles with heavy hearts and in solidarity with the Board of Trustees. "It is devastating that the relationship between the charity's trustees and the chair of the board broke down beyond repair, creating an untenable situation," they said. The trustees acted in the best interest of the charity by asking Dr. Shandauka to step down, but her decision to take legal action to retain her position was further underscoring the broken relationship between the charity.
Prince Harry fell into a trap laid by enemies with trademark angry outburst. A royal expert has claimed that when Prince Harry publicly corrected false quotes attributed to him, he fell into a trap laid by his palace enemies who would rather he didn't reconcile with the king. The world was watching during Prince Harry's recent visit back to the UK to see if the much-speculated reunion with King Charles would finally come about. The father and son had not seen each other for 19 months when Harry's car rolled up at Clarence House, the monarch's London residence, and spent just under an hour with Charles catching up over a cup of tea. Initially, little was known about what happened during their meeting, with Prince Harry, who has been candid about his difficulties with his family members since leaving life as a working royal behind, staying tight-lipped about what had gone on. Then source quotes appeared in the press attributed to the Duke that stirred everything up. Sources told The Sun that Harry had found his time with his father to be unusually formal and that he compared it to being an official visitor rather than a family member. The report also alleged incorrectly that Harry had handed over a framed photo of himself, Meghan, Prince Archie, and Princess Lilibet. However, the Duke's spokesperson quickly hit back at the inaccuracies. Recent reporting of the Duke's view of the tone of the meeting is categorically false. The quotes attributed to him are pure invention fed, one can only assume, by sources intent on sabotaging any reconciliation between father and son. Presumably, those same sources have also chosen to disclose that gifts were exchanged. While we would have preferred such details to remain private, for the sake of clarity, we can confirm that a framed photograph was handed over. However, the image did not contain the Duke and Duchess. Now, royal expert Tom Sykes has said that, in his view, Harry's public correction of the inaccurate quotes saw the Duke of Sussex fall into a trap set by those who would prefer he did not reconcile with the king. I felt Harry had walked right into its jaws by taking the bait and issuing one of his trademark angry outbursts at palace operatives, accusing the men in gray suits of leaking pure invention to the media with the aim of sabotaging any reconciliation between father and son. The expert explained in his royalist newsletter that, in his opinion, having provoked a response, anti-reconciliation courtiers would now be able to say that Harry had betrayed his promise not to re-escalate tensions with the family or stoke controversy around the September 10th meeting that saw Harry meet the king for a private tea at Clarence House, the first time that the king had met with his younger son for 19 months. In response to Harry's blistering public correction, a palace source was quoted as saying they were saddened and perplexed by his statement, something that the royal expert felt was as though the trap just snapped shut.
Prince Harry collapses like a soufflé as Meghan interrupts him in wince-worthy chat. Prince Harry usually appears happy to step back and let wife Meghan shine in the spotlight. But according to one expert, his mask slipped during one of the couple's joint outings. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have conducted multiple joint interviews since they quit the royal family back in 2020. And many onlookers have pointed to the fact that Meghan will often take the lead during those appearances, speaking over her husband on occasion and seemingly more comfortable in the spotlight. The majority of the time, Harry seems perfectly content to sit back and let his wife shine. But critics have highlighted one event when his mask seemed to slip, and he appeared visibly annoyed by Meghan's interruption. At the time, the couple were taking part in a roundtable discussion during a 2023 visit to Marcy Lab School in New York City to promote education and mental health. A clip from the outing shows Meghan repeatedly talking about the importance of education while Harry struggles to get a word in. According to body language expert Judy James, Meghan uses visible pats, strokes, or steering gestures to send messages to Harry in public. She is clearly the more engaging and compelling speaker, which means that what we also see here is her taking over from Harry to then raise the pace of the communication, add energy, and to speak in a more powerful, engaging way, she told the Daily Mail. This can feel like a criticism to the person being interrupted. And it's when Meghan speaks over him for a second time that Harry's annoyance becomes more evident, according to Judy. We can see Harry's body language collapse like a soufflé, and she holds her hands out to speak while he is in mid-flow again as she takes over with her dominant word, education. This is where she ups the pace and the energy to engage and take the attention from him to her. Harry's response here is a cutoff ritual where he touches his nose, effectively hiding his facial expression and response. We can see he looks down though, stretching and then pursing his lips, Judy explains. The way Harry closes down and then appears to detach from the conversation when Meghan interrupts makes the interruptions look worse here. It comes amid confusion over Harry's reunion with his father for the first time since February last year, during a 4-day trip to London last month. The pair spent around 50 minutes together over tea at Clarence House. Details of the meeting with his father were published in The Sun, with the newspaper claiming that Prince Harry was surprised by the formalities of their reunion, which was described as awkward and akin to an audience with dignitaries and official visitors. The Duke was said to have described the meeting as very official, like an official visit. Details were also published of the gifts exchanged, including a framed photograph of Archie and Lilibet. The Sussexes responded by claiming that people were trying to sabotage the reconciliation by casting their meeting in a negative light. A source said, "The quotes attributed to the Duke are pure invention fed, one can only assume, by sources intent on sabotaging any reconciliation between father and son." Friends of Prince Harry believe palace aides leaked details about the meeting to try to sabotage his chances of returning to the UK more often by making it appear that he had shared the information with journalists. But according to The Telegraph, there is genuine bemusement at the palace, with aides insisting that all involved would love to see the Duke on good terms with his father, not least the king himself. They believe Harry's team leaked the details of their meeting, and as such, the two parties are at a stalemate. One well-placed palace source insisted that it was not quite back to square one for the Duke, but added that it's certainly not helpful though.
Meghan Markle air kiss goes wrong during surprise Paris trip. The Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, appeared at Paris Fashion Week this week to support her friend Pierpaolo Piccioli as he showcased his debut collection for fashion house Balenciaga. But an air kiss mishap was snapped as she greeted the designer and quickly picked up online. Why it matters. Paris Fashion Week is drawing to a close, ending what has been one of the busiest fashion months in recent memory. What to know? Meghan's appearance at Paris Fashion Week came as a surprise. It was her first time at the final week of Fashion Month in more than a decade. In the clip, Meghan goes in for a kiss on the cheek with Piccioli, but then knocks into his face and sunglasses as she tries to move. The pair swiftly recovered, though, and went on to pose for a photo together. And while Meghan has not frequented Fashion Month in recent years, clothes design is a major part of her brand and lifestyle. The former TV actor recently starred in a reality TV show on Netflix called With Love Meghan, where she spoke about her high-low style approach to mixing designer and high-street fashion. Earlier in the year, Meghan launched a new digital shop called As Ever, where fans can purchase clothing and other recommendations from the Duchess. The spring and summer 2026 runway season has borne witness to a remarkable game of musical chairs at the biggest names in luxury fashion, with the likes of Bottega Veneta, Dior, Versace, Maison Margiela, and Loa all having brought in new creative directors who are showcasing debut collections this season. Piccioli was announced as the creative director of Kering-owned Balenciaga in May. He has previously been the creative director of Valentino, which is now under the helm of Alessandro Michele, who had previously been the creative director of Gucci. Michele has been replaced by Demna Gvasalia, who had been the creative director of Balenciaga prior to Piccioli's appointment. And as the visionaries of the fashion world move around the houses in moves akin to an incredibly chic game of chess, the debuts are not done. Still to come is Matteo Blasi's first collection at Chanel, arguably the biggest designer debut of the decade. What people are saying. A spokesman for Meghan Markle, as per the BBC, over the years, the Duchess has worn a number of designs by Pierpaolo. They have worked closely together, collaborating on design for key moments on the world stage. She has long admired his craftsmanship and modern elegance, and tonight was no different. This evening reflects the culmination of many years of artistry and friendship, reflected in her support for his new creative chapter at Balenciaga.
Meghan Markle stepped out in a second look at Paris Fashion Week. The Duchess of Sussex traded her all-white ensemble for a sleek black cape dress during her second outing at Paris Fashion Week. After making her surprise debut appearance at Paris Fashion Week for a Balenciaga show on Saturday, October 4th, Meghan Markle made a second outing at the annual fashion event on Sunday, October 5th. On Sunday, the Duchess of Sussex attended the Balenciaga Women's Wear Spring-Summer 2026 show wearing a sleek black caped dress. The Duchess accessorized the simple but elegant dress with a pair of black satin heels, diamond stud earrings, and gold bracelets, and wore her hair pulled back in a sleek, low bun. On Saturday, Meghan made her official Paris Fashion Week debut with a surprise appearance at the Balenciaga show in support of Pier Paolo Piccioli, who was celebrating his first runway show as creative director at the brand. Over the years, the Duchess has worn a number of designs by Pier Paolo. They have worked closely together, collaborating on design for key moments on the world stage. Meghan's spokesperson said in a statement to People about her Paris Fashion Week appearance, "It's been a long time since she has admired his craftsmanship and modern elegance, and tonight was no different. This evening reflects the culmination of many years of artistry and friendship, reflected in her support for his new creative chapter at Balenciaga." For her Saturday look, Meghan opted for another monochromatic look, a white cape over a silk white button-down and matching pants, which she accessorized with black pointed pumps. About last night, thank you, Pier Paolo and Balenciaga. I've missed you, France. Thanks for the love. While the trip marks Meghan's first time attending Paris Fashion Week, that doesn't mean it was her first Fashion Week experience ever. The Duchess has still yet to attend Fashion Week in London or Milan, but she was something of a staple at New York Fashion Week during her time on Suits. According to Vogue, Meghan made her New York Fashion Week front-row debut at Hervé Leger's Spring 2014 show, and before she stepped back from acting to join the royal family, she was known for attending many New York Fashion Week shows, including Tory Burch, Peter Salm, Wes Gordon, and Misha Nonnuno, among others.